We're going to talk about Chennedy Carter, but it looks like she's blacklisted. And she will be playing professional basketball during the season, but it won't be for the W.
We're going to talk about Chennedy Carter and how she just answered one of the biggest questions facing WNBA players today. Is attacking Caitlin Clark really worth losing your entire career? Because for Carter, the answer is now clear. After more than 120 days with zero interest from WNBA teams,
WNBA, seriously, she needs to do whatever she can to get some help, get her anger under control, where she will not have another incident like the one where she slammed into Caitlin Clark. She's out of the league. It's a solid fourth season from Carter. An incident with Indiana Fever guard Caitlin Clark stood out to many. The 2024 WNBA Rookie of the Year came in the league, became arguably the most popular player. Became the most popular player. There, I cleaned it up for you, which may have rubbed some people the wrong way, including Carter.
And with training camp starting, Chennedy Carter has officially left the league. She's heading to Mexico to continue her professional basketball career, but not with the WNBA. This isn't just another player switching teams. This is the Chicago Sky's leading scorer, being completely and officially fired from the league after deliberately targeting the WNBA's new face, Caitlin Clark. The Sky didn't even try to trade her. No team tried to pick her up, even after her MVP-level performances overseas. That doesn't happen unless there's a serious reason. Today we're breaking down exactly how it happened, where Carter's headed now, and what her downfall says about accountability in the WNBA. Let's get into it. June 1st, 2024, Chicago Sky.
And then we get to the body check. This was originally ruled an away from the ball foul, but it was obviously a flagrant foul. It really upset a lot of people, which really escalated the issue. And it was really just poor sportsmanship on Kennedy's part.
Versus Indiana Fever, a tight, hard-fought game. Final score, a narrow 71-70 Fever victory. Tensions were already running high, and then it happened. After a sky basket, as players transitioned back on defense, Chennedy Carter suddenly altered her path and delivered a deliberate hip check that sent Caitlin Clark sprawling across the hardwood. This wasn't normal basketball contact. This wasn't a hard foul. It was something else. Something that made the entire arena gasp and left the broadcast booth in stunned silence. At first, the referees called it a simple off-ball foul. But after review and intense public backlash, it was upgraded to a flagrant foul the next day, officially deemed non-basketball contact and potentially dangerous. Angel Reese was caught on camera jumping and clapping on the sidelines immediately after the collision, fueling even more controversy. This moment wasn't just ugly. It would become the spark that ignited Chennedy Carter's career collapse. But the hit wasn't even the most damaging part. When given a golden opportunity at the...
And then Chennedy just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about that moment between you and Caitlin, what was on that play, what was said, and kind of what it led to.
Next question.
Yeah, the play before it seemed like she charged you a little bit.
Yeah.
After
I ain't answering no Caitlin Clark questions.
did she say anything to you?
I don't know what she said.
What'd you say to her?
I didn't say anything.
That's enough. We're good.
Post-game press conference to apologize or explain, to maybe salvage her image, Carter chose 7 words that changed everything. I ain't answering no Caitlin Clark questions. No apology, no regret, no accountability. That dismissive attitude blew up overnight. Even analysts who initially tried to defend her started backing away. It wasn't just a bad foul anymore. Now, it looked like Chennedy Carter had an even bigger problem, an attitude that no professional team wanted to deal with. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark handled the situation with pure composure. No retaliation, no drama. Clark simply got up, made her free throws, and helped her team win. In her post-game comments, Clark said, "Basketball's competitive. I get it. Emotions get the best of you sometimes."
Break down that situation that happened.
Yeah. So, in basketball a little bit, there's things called talking, what you like to call smack or whatever everybody likes to call it.
Yeah.
Plays before things are said, you know, it's a part of basketball. I think a play before, maybe I was elbowed. Okay, that happens. Think the next play down, maybe something was said, and then maybe there was like a little clip of somebody like yelling in my face. And then we go down the court, then I hit like a little bucket, you feel me? Come down, hit like a little nice little mid-range pull-up. And then I just like, you know, give her like a little like, I'm here. Like, you know, I don't think it was, you know what's crazy? Me and my brother went back and watched, and we've seen a lot of clips in the NBA of guys getting like pushing LeBron. Like, I think it was Jeff Teague or somebody who like pushed LeBron out of bounds, like said, man, I was mad because like we couldn't stop it.
It happened to me too. That maturity stood in stark contrast to Carter's defensiveness. And in the world of pro sports, perception is everything. It didn't take long for the consequences to hit. The Chicago Sky quietly let Carter walk away with no contract offer. One anonymous GM even said, "We wouldn't touch her with a 10-foot pole. It wasn't about talent. Carter averaged 17, 5 points per game last season, a career high. On paper, she should have been a hot free agent. Instead, she was radioactive. Her flagrant foul, her press conference behavior, and her inability to show any real remorse."
I'm just like, it's like one of those things like, it happens in basketball. I know people try to say, oh, it's not one of those things.
It's not a personal thing, it's a competitive thing.
It happens in basketball, and like, it's just one of those things. But like, yeah, it's kind of what happened, and then it spiraled out of control.
And then the media takes whatever narrative they want to
so you
put out.
watch every game, every single game, to see if you can find any deflects in my game, and like, really nothing that you probably could say too much about. So then you have trolls, and that's what I said. They're gonna be around regardless. But yeah, it was just like a nice little like tap, like I'm here, not to like harm you or anything. You know, if you want to push somebody, you're gonna like
fractured locker rooms, alarmed executives, and ultimately destroyed her reputation inside the league. For nearly a year, Carter stayed silent. Until last week, when she finally decided to speak on a podcast hosted by controversial figure Neon. Her explanation, it was just a light tap. Seriously, a light tap. She tried to spin the deliberate hip check into some casual brush, even comparing it to NBA players bumping into LeBron James. Claiming it wasn't personal, just competitive spirit. But by this point, nobody was buying it. Watching the footage again, it's crystal clear Carter changed direction to make contact deliberately. Her belated excuse only made her look worse. Someone still unwilling to own up to her mistakes. For nearly a year after the incident, Chennedy Carter said nothing.
This is crazy, and this changes everything. Because all this time, we've been waiting on Chennedy Carter to take responsibility for what she did to Caitlin Clark. It shows me, I ain't even gotta watch all this footage right here, but I am gonna look at it. But it's showing me right now that she still is not taking responsibility for her actions. She's finna blame this whole situation on Caitlin Clark supposedly talking smack to her.
Good luck. Good luck. I don't know who's going to take her. I don't know what teams are going to take her. No, I don't think she's going to the Indiana Fever. I mean, yeah, bring her in after what happened. I don't think.
No apologies, no interviews, no public posts. Just silence, while her reputation crumbled and offers from WNBA teams never came. But last week, nearly 11 months later, Carter finally decided to address the situation. She appeared on a podcast hosted by Neon, a known controversial YouTuber who often gives athletes a platform to tell their side of the story without hard questions. It was a golden opportunity if Carter had shown genuine remorse. If she had taken real accountability, she might have reopened the door to a WNBA return. Fans love a redemption story. Teams love second chances for players who prove they've grown. But instead of owning the moment, Carter tried to rewrite history. She called the blatant hip check on Caitlin Clark nothing more than a light tap. She laughed it off, comparing it to normal NBA contact, like bumping into LeBron James on a drive to the basket. She insisted it wasn't personal, that it was just hard competition, and worst of all, she acted like the entire backlash against her was overblown, as if the world was crazy for even caring. There was no apology, no ownership. No sense that she understood how serious the situation really was, not just for Clark, but for the WNBA's image, her team's reputation, and her own future. And that's where she lost everyone. Because by this point, everyone had seen the footage. Everyone saw her deliberately veer into Clark's path and lower her shoulder. It wasn't a basketball play, it was a cheap shot, a so-called light tap, doesn't get upgraded to a flagrant foul the next day by league officials reviewing the tape in slow motion. The more Carter tried to downplay it, the worse it looked. Instead of seeming misunderstood, she came across as delusional, unwilling to admit even the most basic facts. And in professional sports, that's often worse than the original mistake. Teams can forgive aggression. Fans can forgive a lapse in judgment, but nobody forgives arrogance and denial. When Carter chose denial over accountability, she didn't just close the book on the Clark incident, she slammed the door shut on any hope of reviving her WNBA career. Because the reality is simple, in the WNBA, especially with the league now growing in popularity like never before, PR matters, image matters, character matters. If Carter had simply said, "You know what? I lost my cool. It was wrong. I'm sorry, and I've learned from it," she might already be back on a roster today. Instead, she's heading to Mexico, while the WNBA moves on without her. Now, with no WNBA offers, Chennedy Carter is taking her talents to Mexico's professional league. A significant fall from grace for a player once hyped as a future WNBA star. Maybe it's not too late for her to turn things around someday, but unless she takes real responsibility, shows maturity, and rebuilds her reputation, her WNBA career might be permanently over. Because in the WNBA, just like any professional league, talent matters, but character matters even more.